I often wonder, how am I ever going to get through any book if every time I try to read, I fall asleep? Okay, this may be a strange way to start a vlog, but if I don't do it this way, it's not going to get done. Y'all, I think I have like 100 pages left in this book. I don't even know if you guys remember when I started reading it, but it's Taylor Jenkins Reid, Daisy Jones and the Six. I was trying so hard to read it last night, and it's not that it's a hard book to read or a bad book to read. It's very good. It's a great book. But every time I try to read now, I just fall asleep. I will say though that for a book that like jumped right into the action to a certain extent, like it, the descriptions were pretty brief and they just let you know what was going on. It did kind of lull towards the middle. The other thing too is whenever I see anybody talk about this book, they don't really talk about this book. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't watched a whole lot of like reviews of the whole book, but I have seen people talk about it. I have seen people say they love it. I have not read the Goodreads reviews because I try not to read Goodreads reviews before I've read a book. I don't go to Goodreads to find books. That's not how I find books. So what's interesting about this one is you hear a lot about how it's written, but nobody ever really talks about what it's actually about. It's totally about relationships, not just a relationship, not just a romantic relationship, relationships. So that is what I find very intriguing about it. It's very character driven. So I'm just going to give you a bit of a background of what this book actually is if you are considering reading it. There may be some spoilers. I don't mean to, but there may be. If there are, I'll definitely alert you first. Okay, so basically we're meeting Daisy Jones. Daisy Jones has a very 60s, 70s, I think it starts in the 60s, but it really spans the 70s. She's, born in LA, has detached parents like most Gen X people would have. So it's very fitting. I guess you could consider her Gen X or maybe a very young boomer, but she has basically detached parents. A lot of us can relate because a lot of us were told to go outside and not come back until the streetlights came on. So a lot of us can relate. Inserting here, Daisy Jones was born in 1951 and grew up in the Hollywood Hills of Los Angeles, California. The daughter of Frank Jones, the well-known British painter, and Jean Lefebvre, a French model, Daisy started to make a name for herself in the late 60s as a young teenager on the Sunset Strip. So she was on the strip as a teenager, but she was actually born in 1951. So definitely a boomer, but still, if you're Gen X and you did have parents who were detached, you can relate. Or even if you're not, we get the idea that this young lady was definitely unsupervised as a kid. If you read further, you get the idea that she was definitely unsupervised as a kid. She finds herself basically a teenager hanging out in Hollywood, which apparently happened a lot more than people actually knew. And she can sing. And so it turns out that through hanging out in clubs underage and all of that, she kind of became connected. And now, she's a recording artist for the most part. And there's this band, The Six, who's the main character of The Six. It was started by two brothers, but the main character is Billy. He's the lead singer of The Six. So it's about a band and it's about a solo artist, both from troubled backgrounds. Of course, when the band comes together, it's a hodgepodge of people, and these people are all from different places and backgrounds, so they all see and think differently. Even the two brothers kind of see things differently. But for the most part, Billy is the main character, and you see other characters that are supporting characters. But at the end of the day, the story is really about Billy. and it's really about Daisy, and it's about the tension between them for the most part. Billy has a wife and 3 children. Daisy is single until she's not. And, drama. It's rock and roll, it's music, it's the music industry, it's celebrity, it's all of those things. So you know that there's drugs, you know that there's sex, that there's all of those things that happen when you're in that environment and in that lifestyle. And I think I've said enough or given you enough of the background where I haven't spoiled anything. Just from watching several videos, I do understand that there is a plot twist apparently, but I don't know yet. I am on page 265, and there are the last page is 351. So a little under 100 pages left. But that's where we are. And we're at the point where, Daisy has already met the 6, the tension has happened, everybody's given their 2 cents, they come together, they make beautiful music together, but Billy and Daisy have, a love-hate relationship, basically. Something happens between them. I won't give that away. Maybe I have given something away by saying that, but I don't think I have. Something happens between them because something has to happen, right? And now they're getting ready to go on tour. And that's where I am. And I want to finish this 100 pages today because it's Monday, by the way, because I have other things I want to read and other things I want to do. And because I've kind of let this book linger. I picked it up. I got almost halfway through a couple months ago. And then honestly, truth be told, I really couldn't even find the book because I moved. So I was looking for it. Now, if you have heard anything else about this book, then you know that the way that it is written, it's interview style. So you have each person narrating, their own part. So one minute you could be hearing from Daisy, the next minute you could be hearing from Billy, and you're hearing things from everybody's point of view. And it reminds me of watching Behind the Music or Unsung. So because of that, I have listened to a large portion of this book on Audible. And it's great because they have different voices narrating the different characters. So it's almost like you're watching a movie. I can actually sit and crochet and listen. I like both. I like reading it and I like listening to it. I don't think I prefer one over the other, except Audible kind of edges out reading the book only because I could actually do something else while I'm reading it. Other than that, it's fine either way. Jennifer Beals is the narrator for Daisy, the voice for Daisy, and her voice, for me anyway, is so recognizable and just seems to fit Daisy so well. I could listen to this woman read the nutritional facts on the back of food boxes. That's how nice and that's how kind of scratchy but not and soft and soothing her voice is. And I think that's another reason to not listen to Audible, because that kind of puts me to sleep too. What's funny is once I heard the book in her voice, now when I read it, I hear it in her voice. So that's cool. There's several other people who are also narrating as well, whose voices I kind of recognize. So that's where we are with this book. We are now going on tour. We have recorded the album. We've seen inside of people's personalities. Some people we like, some people we don't. And I'll get into that when I'm done, but I am going to try to read this today. While I read this though, I do have some footage that I do want to share with you from the past week. One of my lovely subscribers requested that I do some cooking videos, and I did comment back that I would try, and I'm not very comfortable with that. And after Thanksgiving, because we're now after Thanksgiving, getting ready to go into December. By the way, I am thinking about doing Vlogmas if you're seeing this, leave me a comment and let me know, do you think that I should do Vlogmas? I did it last year. I completed Vlogmas last year. I was actually very proud of myself that I did, and I've been thinking about doing it this year, except I've got the baby here and I don't know if I can get the videos out every day. So I guess if I do maybe 3 videos a week for Vlogmas instead of the whole 25 days, maybe that might be better. Like maybe every other day a video. Or I can do shorts. Tell me if you think Vlogmas would work better in shorts, because that I can possibly do. I could possibly do 25 days of shorts. You know, but I know some people like shorts, some people don't. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Anyway, I was gonna let you know what happened last week, because last week was Friendsgiving and Thanksgiving, and I did make baked eggs on Saturday or Sunday. I made baked eggs Sunday, so that would have been yesterday. Today's Monday. I made baked eggs yesterday, so I filmed a little bit of that. It is not my normal filming style. Like, I like to make things really pretty. I don't think that it's necessarily going to be pretty, and it's a really simple, easy recipe, but it's something that if you are trying to be low carb, or if you just want something warm and yummy to eat in the morning. You don't have to only eat it in the morning. Obviously, you can eat eggs whenever you want. Check that out. Check out that part of the video, which is coming up. Yeah, so I'm just gonna show you a few things from last week, and then by the time I do that, I should be hopefully finished with this, and I'll let you know what I think of the book overall. All right, let's get into last week. This week, it seemed like I was cooking something every day, and I still didn't actually finish my Thanksgiving dinner until around 8 o'clock on Thanksgiving evening. We weren't really celebrating Thanksgiving on the normal day, though, because my son was flying in, and he wasn't going to get in until the evening anyway. Our celebration was Friday, Friendsgiving, and this was our spread. It was really, really nice. I really enjoyed spending time with my friends and my grandson, and my son and my daughter and my husband. I feel very, very blessed. For me, Thanksgiving has always been about being grateful for what you have and for the people around you. And while I try to acknowledge my blessings every day, it's something about doing it with family and friends that makes it extra special. It was also little man's first Thanksgiving. He is just so delightful. At 10 months, he's definitely a handful, but he's a yummy handful. He's truly my little, well, actually he's kind of big, my big nugget. I love him so much. The Saturday after Thanksgiving, I was over Thanksgiving food. I mean, not really, but I just didn't want to eat it for 3 meals. So I decided to make baked eggs, and it's pretty simple. I got a couple of eggs, whatever cheese of your choice, and your seasonings. I use Tony's because, you know, gotta have the little Creole kick. I like white pepper instead of black pepper. I used garlic, I used onion powder, a little paprika. You can season it any way you want. I did do a little nutmeg too, just because typically when you eat quiche, it has nutmeg. You beat your eggs however much you want, and add your cheese. I decided to use the Tillamook cheese, and I also put a little of the Italian blend from Whole Foods, but you can literally use any cheese that you want. I mixed everything up and put it in this mini baking dish that I think I got at Crate & Barrel, but I'm not sure. It also comes with a lid, but I didn't need to put the lid on. And then I put an Asiago type cheese on top, something that was really funky and sharp with a nice kick, just to give it that little bit of extra flavor. Put some cayenne pepper on top for a little heat. And then I am baking it in the toaster oven at 400 for about 10 minutes. And it comes out all cheesy and yummy and good. I kind of like a soft egg, not runny, but soft. But you can obviously bake it for a little while longer if you want your eggs to be a little harder. It's low carb and it's yummy. So Sunday, I got a little time to myself. I got to go have some coffee at the bookstore because bookstores are my favorite place. They always have been. I picked up a couple of magazines. This one has a lot of home decor inspo, and I need it, you guys, because I'm feeling a little stuck. I picked this one up. It's actually a magazine, but it has a lot of like redecorating projects in it and just the directions, the different directions that you can go in. I saw some really cool things in here, and I got a few ideas from the other books I picked up as well, so I purchased all of them. I really have to stop buying so many magazines though. My stash is starting to get pretty big again. So pretty much I spent the early part of the day just perusing, looking for ideas, but the plan was to finish the day out crocheting and listening to my book.
It was intended. She wasn't so bad.
We sat down at the counter and I ordered for both of us and then put the menus away. I just wanted to put Billy in his place a little bit. I wanted him to have to deal with me being in charge. But of course, he couldn't let it go. He said, I was going to order the hickory burger anyway. I think I've rolled my eyes about 5,000 more times in my life just on account of Billy Dunn.
After we both ordered, I decided to try a little game. I said, how about I ask you a question, you ask me a question. No one can dodge the answers.
I told him I was an open book.
I said, how many pills do you... I asked the question again. How many pills do you take a day? She looked down and then back up at me and she said, I don't know.
So the plan was to catch up on my temperature blanket, and I thought that's what I was going to do. But while I was doing that, while I was catching up on, gosh, I'm about 10 days behind now, while I was catching up and listening to my audiobook, everything was perfect, or so I thought. As I started crocheting, as I got right into the middle of this section, I found a huge knot in my yarn. It was so tangled. It was tangled so bad that I didn't even get this part done on the blanket because I spent the next 2 hours dislodging the knot. I didn't want to cut the yarn because this blanket is already going to have a lot of stray yarns and cuts. So I ended up just taking apart what I had already done and tying both ends into a ball. It was a hot mess, and I probably should have filmed it, but I wasn't thinking to film it. I was just thinking that I wanted to get the knots out so that I could finish my temperature blanket, or at least finish the days that I had missed. But that didn't happen. All of what I'm doing here, I had to totally undo. So yes, I finally finished Daisy Jones and the Six. I just finished it, and right now my initial reaction, my visceral reaction is just read the book. It really built up, like there was a huge crescendo with this book. You start off, you get to know the characters, and you do become a little bit invested, but for the most part, you're just listening to the story. You're listening to the interviews, and you're learning about this band and, how they came to be. And of course, as time goes on, you get into emotions and personal lives and things like that. So it's a good story in that way. If you're someone who doesn't feel like you need to control a story, if you're someone who doesn't feel like you need to control the characters in a story, you're gonna like this book. You can just read a story at face value. If you can just accept that this is who these people are. There are a lot of good messages in this book, believe it or not. It is weird because on the surface, you're talking about a rock band. A lot of it seems really like, superficial, and it's like about celebrities, and people don't always see celebrities as people. But I think, especially with the main characters in this book, Taylor Jenkins Reid does a really good job of fleshing out who these people are. And then the side characters are supporting characters, and you know that. So you don't know everything about them. You don't get as much insight into them because they're side characters. That makes sense. But yet they're there moving the story along. So I like that. Like what she did here with this book, just the way it's written, the detail, the way that we get inside of the characters. You think that you're reading about real people. And this could have been a real band. These people could have been very real. I still kind of believe that somehow, some way, this is probably a real story, and she just made it fiction, because the way that she rounds out the characters, the way that she rounds out the story, the way that she seems to take really good care to circle things back around. And what's funny about this book is, In a lot of ways, who you think is the main character, who you think that this book is about, it's not. And what's so crazy is I relate so much to who the book is actually about. To me, the book is actually about Billy's wife. When you get down to it, she literally is the oracle in the book. She's the wise sage in the book. And she's so much on her grown woman-ish. I love that about her. And I also love too that she just wanted to be a wife and a mother. And she just wanted to love her family. I think that if there's something present day in 2022 that someone wouldn't like about this particular book, that would probably be it. Like if you didn't like it, everybody that I've seen that has read this book though, they loved it. So, or they really liked it. And they probably all liked it for different reasons. But for me, there's a lot to unpack here. And I don't know, this could really end up being one of my favorite books. It's my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book. And now I'm going to go ahead and read the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I should have read when I got for free like years ago and did not. So I had to buy it. I don't even know where my free copy, it's a hardback copy, is. But now I'm excited to read it. And everybody says that one is even better. I don't know if it could be better. I read this one first because I have heard some people say that it's better. Anyway, I'm not going to belabor the point. If you like a good story, if you like stories about, you know, rock bands or stories that seem real, fiction that seems real, this is the book for you. If you like stories about relationships, because there's a lot of relationship dynamics with the band, the relationships within the band, marriage, people who don't want to get married, you know, people, unrequited love, like it's all in here. It's all in this book. And yeah, so I would highly suggest that if you like a good story, and the plot twist is a really good one. I'm not gonna give it away here because why I wouldn't. Once you get to the plot twist, it's like, okay, got it. So heartwarming too. Like it actually ends on a great note, like a sad but great note. And yeah, read this. I suggest that you read this. You know, I read books without preconceived notions. I don't have like a criteria. My authors don't have to look a certain way. The subject matter doesn't have to be a certain thing. I do prefer biographies over anything else, honestly, because I just am nosy and I like to get into people's lives and see what they're doing. And I think that's one reason why I love this, because it's a fiction book that read like a biography. So that made it even better for me. Not everybody's the same though. You know, if you have certain criteria for reading books, this may or may not be for you. But for me, I just like a good story, and I accept the story at face value, and I accept what the author is trying to tell me. And if there's something that I don't like about it, I just don't like it, but I don't want to change it, because otherwise, if I wanted to change it, then I should have written the book myself. So this, 5 stars for me. 5 stars, period. Like there's literally one aspect about this book that I am not really fond of. It kind of annoyed me throughout the book, but not enough to not give it 5 stars. Definitely a great read. And on that note, I'm gonna end this video so that I could get it up, so that you guys can actually see it. Let me know if you want more book reviews. Let me know if you want me to cook more things. But I really would like to film those videos a little more aesthetically, but if you want me to, I can, because we are going into the colder months, and I do want to start making more cozy food. Still working on the house, still, you know, have the baby here, so my videos may be like a little wonky. And if I do decide to do Vlogmas, I will definitely let you guys know. So thanks so much. Gonna love you and leave you now, but I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.